All right, we're back here at the Nerd Rage Legacy Open Online. We're heading into round 6. I'm here with Anuraag Das, who's doing an awesome job. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Joe.
And we're going to look at our deck list for our round 6 feature match, which is a win and in for top 8. So let's go ahead and get that rolling. We have Kyle Reichard. I shouldn't even guess. I should say Kyle. We have Kyle playing Is It Delver. This is not Is It Delver, so let's go ahead and take it back to us while we get that straightened out. In the meantime, if you want to comment, we have, I'm sure there's a heavy backlog on firenormancohen.com, but if you want to try and get in the queue, be my guest, as you'll probably be behind me, as I've submitted numerous times, including what I'm going to do today based on that deck list error. But
I joke about that too. Production is hard, and so I want to say a major shout out to the NRG crew for here. This is awesome, and I'm super grateful as just someone coming in from the outside that we're able to support the Legacy community in this way. So be sure to support the channel, guys, by hitting that follow button, subscribing for the awesome emotes, and then check out the website too for more great content. I guess we could talk a little bit about the Is It Delver deck, Joe. I mean, you're no stranger to Delver. We've seen a little bit of Delver today, and it looks like we've got the graphic up. So just elevator pitch me. What are we looking at here? What is this deck trying to do?
Well, we're looking. When I think of Is It Delver, I think of Rug Delver with more burn is basically what the go-to is in my mind, and that looks like we have slightly more burn. I think we just have 2 Chain Lightnings instead of 1, which we saw on the Rug Delver earlier. We see True Name Nemesis, so we have that as opposed to Oko. Oko is probably the biggest difference now between Blue Red and Rug Delver. We see the Arcanist package the same, Brazen Borrowers, but yeah, True Names and Bedlam Revelers instead of Okos. And then we have the free counter magic, same kind of stuff we saw before. We do have basic lands also, which can play a role in some matchups. Mm-hmm. We'll have to see whether that's relevant in whatever Kyle's playing against.
So let's take a look at that deck too and see what the opposing archetype is. And it looks like it's Eldrazi, piloted by Catherine. So this is on the other spectrum of things. This is a Chalice of the Void strategy that leverages soul lands in the form of City of Traders and Ancient Tomb, even Eldrazi Temple. Modern players, if you guys remember this card, I guess it's still legal, right? Ayavugin's banned in Modern. Okay, yeah. Ayavugin, Modern players, if you remember that card. But this is a Stompy-based strategy that is leveraging, this fast mana to get big, beefy creatures into play, like Thought-Knot Seer for basically the cost of 2 lands, Reality Smasher for the cost of 3 lands, and then you've also got X spells in the form of Endless One, or even Eldrazi Mimics to get big alongside the larger Eldrazi that you've got in there. Chalice of the Void is designed to slow down the opponent so that you can just break off the Brainstorms and Ponders and removal spells and things like that. So it's going to be instrumental in this matchup. You've also got Cavern of Souls because you're a tribal deck, and it makes all your creatures uncounterable. So, Joe, I guess as we get into the matchup, maybe tell me, what do you think is going to be important for both players here?
Well, I think Chalice is a big deal from the Eldrazi side, and you see there, Catherine, she's streaming the event. So if you want to watch the match from her perspective, you can. Her channel is tell me again. It's CS Magic Altars, just like you see on the screen there, I think. So if for some reason that you find yourself you just can't stand Anuraag's commentary, watch the other channel. But in the meantime, we'll be here. We're going to be watching it from her perspective. And
so it looks like this is so I'm going to assume that so Catherine is on the play here. Let's see here. Would you keep this hand with this deck, knowing the matchup?
I mean, we have Chalice on 1. And then we have follow-up a turn later, but a Wasteland is going to be backbreaking.
Yeah,
I don't have a mental grasp of the number of lands in Eldrazi. I'm going to guess it's in the mid-20s.
Yep, that's about right.
Maybe, but I mean, this Reality Smasher, that's never getting cast if we get Wastelanded here, so it's going to be tough. This is a deck that I watched Catherine stream a little bit earlier this week as she was preparing for this event. She was playing for Reanimator, so she switched things up for this event, and obviously it's working reasonably well for her. She's in a win-in for top 8 here. But let's see if we're facing Wastelands here, this is going to be bad news.
Yeah, the Chalice of the Void is countered by the Force of Negation, which is really crucial for the Izzet Delver side. And that's the nightmare scenario. Now we're going to have to draw a lot of lands really fast. And yep, there you go. Ancient Tomb. That's a good first step.
Okay, so yes, I mean that's really the best thing. Anything that would have allowed us to put something on the board, and Eldrazi Mimic worked just fine. We have follow-ups, but we're gonna need more lands. This isn't enough on its own.
For sure. I mean, next turn we can deploy maybe a Matter Reshaper or an Endless one. Matter Reshaper is kind of problematic for these blue decks that rely on like Lightning Bolt instead of Swords to Plowshares to remove creatures. Delver of Secrets. Okay, that's a scary one too.
We do see, I mean, because of the Force of Negation, though, I mean, our opponent is very low on cards in hand, and we rip off another Ancient Tomb, so that's pretty strong.
Yeah, I mean, talk about runner top decks that we needed to get back into this game. Yeah. I mean, we could literally play Reality Smasher this turn and swing in for 10 points of damage.
We could. That another alternative would be I would be more comfortable probably on Endless one, so that we could pay for a daze on the Spirit Guide, because if the Reality Smasher gets dazed, we're taking so much damage from our lands here. Looks like we're going for it, and you know what? That's okay too. If this lands, we're looking strong.
Yeah, and you could sort of see Catherine's reaction. She's like, "Does this resolve?" It does.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, we're getting it for 10, and this is so much damage. I mean, this is the appeal of the Eldrazi decks. The mana base is a little painful. We don't have particularly useful sideboard cards compared to a lot of other decks, but man, can we hit hard.
The power output of this deck is incredibly powerful. I definitely do agree. And the thing is that this Mimic, it's going to become a 2-1, like, after this turn. But the Endless one just in the tank means that next turn we actually get to attack for lethal as well.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit curious. How is the Izzet Delver player supposed to come back from this?
Yeah, I mean, there's no Tarmogoyf, which could maybe outsize some of the creatures because we're not playing Rug.
And Trample does a really good job at making True Name Nemesis look not so true.
Yes, this is going to be, and I don't think we're going to get to that point, because the Smasher, I guess Brazen Borrower is actually probably the best possible play here,
and
maybe the only relevant one.
Yeah. Well,
that's not it, and the Delver didn't flip, so Catherine is probably pretty pleased with how this developed, as it was looking pretty dicey during about turn 1.5.
Yeah, and I know there are like a couple of trendy cards in the Legacy metagame right now that you might see, things like Vapor Snag. Unfortunately, Kyle doesn't have any of these in his deck, so he's really just relying on the Brazen Borrowers to handle anything that has more than 3 toughness, I think. Oh, I guess you could pair together a Lightning Bolt with a Dreadhorde Arcanist, maybe.
Sure. But yeah, I think kind of the thing is you're not supposed to be this far behind on the board.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like you could try to...
I mean, you have the Force of Wills to deal with that. And we had the Force Negation. I didn't see what got pitched to the Force. Maybe you did, but...
I think it was a Ponder.
Okay, so that's only going to take down the Chalice anyway, and not Reality Smasher or things like that.
Right.
And this is a matchup where, with counters, you kind of... A lot of times you have to counter the spells anyway, because the creatures are often protected by Cavern of Souls. We see a second Delver, and they stay back in order to prevent the Mimic from attacking, I guess. But we've got at least an attack for 5. I think we...
Do we play the Endless one and just force a chump block? Or
I think we do. I think, because you're right. Because it forces one Delver to block, and then on top of that, it guarantees the win next turn without... okay, maybe we're playing both creatures?
Okay, I could see that too. Just get a big board then.
Yeah, the problem is this doesn't guarantee a block.
Yeah, and there's a nightmare scenario now, and I'm going to say maybe Caster Curse, but if the Delver flips to something like a Lightning Bolt, and the last 2 cards in Kyle's hand are, Red Source and another Bolt.
No, that's all. No, you don't even need.
Oh, you just need 1 Lightning Bolt. You're right. Yeah,
one because we're not attacking for lethal, so just 1 bolt is.
Yeah, signed Ancient Tomb.
Yeah. So this is pretty dangerous here.
Yeah. So super heads up to Kyle though.
The game's going to end in 1 turn, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Is it going to flip? Drum roll. Ooh, to a preordain.
Oh boy. So now we get to, well, maybe there's a bolt in hand. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, with 6 bolts, you're very likely to see it, in the first few turns, at least one copy. So yeah, I'm biting my nails here too, Joe.
Brainstorm. Okay, I think. Right. I think I would have led with preordained myself, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty minor difference. Are we gonna get there? I mean, everyone, all the people watching, us commentating, Catherine playing, all of us are in the dark. Only her opponent knows the outcome of this.
Yeah, I mean, if they had the bolt, and they do have the lightning bolt, that's the lethal damage coming in there.
That's. I mean, well, that's how it goes. That's unfortunate for her. So Kyle takes down game one, and so certainly if we had played that endless one, it's possible that she still could have lost, but it would have been harder. It would have
right
more out of Kyle by playing the endless one. But that's how things go. So we'll see on Kyle's Izzet Delver sideboard after winning game one. We have artifact removal for Chalice, I hope. It looks like we have 2 Braid. We have Price of Progress, which could probably do a decent amount of damage, and I don't think we have anything else.
Yeah, you could. I mean, Blazing Volley not very good against the X4s and the X5s. It could kill a Mimic, but that's just such a like a narrow case that I wouldn't want to, increase the inconsistency in my deck. We also need to make sure that we have enough cards to cut, like you mentioned earlier. How do you feel about counter magic in this matchup, where your opponent's got many copies of Cavern of the Souls to turn off your?
Not great, but do we have anything worse to board? I mean, Chalice of the Void is so relevant, though.
Yeah.
Do we have like going second? I would say Days might not be worth a ton because Chalice might come out earlier. And how many cards?
It's hard to balance the conditionality of Days, right? Like, because that is a card that you can play around, but you have to have the setup for it, versus the conditionality of a card like Spell Pierce or Force of Negation, which can only hit non-creature spells. Like, sitting with a Force of Negation in your hand while your opponent has a Reality Smasher in play attacking you, it feels really bad. So those are some of the options that we might expect.
I think Spell Pierce is, depending on what's in Catherine's sideboard. I guess Kyle's going to be looking at that just like we're going to in a second. Mm-hmm. And so what does she have? What do you like here?
I am a huge fan of the Ratchet Bombs. Also, I'm not 100% sure about Thorn of Amethyst. I think that one might be a trap more than anything else. How do you feel about All Is Dust and maybe even Warping Whale?
I don't know about All Is Dust. I kind of like Warping Whale. I mean, it picks off Delvers immediately, but not later. But it does get Dreadhorde Arcanist.
Okay.
So I think, and it also counters a decent number of random stuff. I guess you could counter a Ponder or a Chain Lightning.
Yep.
I think it's okay, depending if she thinks there's some stuff she can get rid of here. There are 2 Umazamas Jites in the main deck. That's nice. Those will be useful.
I kind of almost like boarding in the Karakas too, just as another mana source to help cast your spells and make sure that you've got lands to play. I think this matchup is going to boil down to exactly what we saw early on in game one, which is, how the wastelands from the enemy team are going to interact with our mana, making sure that we can actually cast our spells. In this matchup, let me ask you the question, tale as old as time. Who is the beatdown? Who is the control?
I mean, I think the Eldrazi side is the beatdown. Even though they have a more powerful late game, they also have, I mean, Ancient Tomb, like the double Ancient Tomb draw. If those were 2 Eldrazi temples, she would have won that game in a rout.
Mm-hmm.
So it may depend on kind of what her mana how much life her mana costs her. May determine who is the aggressive player. All right. Let's go ahead and so we're going to switch perspectives this time. This is the first time we've done this today. So we're going to watch from Kyle's side, and we're seeing an obvious mulligan there into an okay hand. This is an okay 6.
So we get some intel onto how Kyle has sideboarded here. He's elected to keep Force of Negation and Daze in the deck on the draw, which makes sense. This hand is a little bit nerve-wracking.
So we're leading on City of Traders, which is not a land you ever want to play first, but if that's what you're forced to do, that's what you're doing. And Thorn comes down, which is probably designed to screw with the cantrips, but is going to be fairly irritating. Maybe you let this in because you have nothing to do anyway.
Yeah.
It's still going to be open. I think that was one of the keys to my growing knowledge of playing against lock piece decks with Miracles for a long time, was that if you don't have to counter something, and you can just beat it by just playing more lands. Just allow yourself the time. Like, I think in his spot, I would let this resolve. That may be wrong, but my instinct would be to not counter it.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. For anyone who's also wondering, you can still catch Catherine's perspective at the link in the chat. That's CS Magic Altars on Twitch. But I kind of like letting the Thorn of Amethyst let go as well. I mean, really what we want to stop are cards like Chalice of the Void. We have so many creatures in the deck too that Thorn isn't like that scary, I guess. How do you feel about playing the Arid Mesa this turn?
As opposed to the Wasteland? I don't like Wastelanding because it's likely the City of Traders kills itself for you, which is what we're going to see. So we can play whatever we're going to play here is not going to be countered. I also don't like wasting because it gets us farther away from True Name. We'll probably have to waste something anyway, but I don't want it to be City.
Okay.
Drawing a 3/3. Okay, this is fine. I don't know whose side I would say is getting the better of it right now. Kyle's going to need some sort. Well, I guess he is. Okay, well that.
Yeah, works. Lightning bolt fresh off the top.
Yeah, that works.
That's exactly what we wanted to see.
Yeah. So this True Name's going to make it in. I imagine we just bolt the well, I take that back. True Name handles Endless One just fine, so we don't have to bolt it. Although I don't know what we're saving bolt for because all the other creatures
are probably unboltable, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Lightning Bolt going to take down the Endless One here. And then it looks like next turn we're going to have True Name Nemesis come down as well, join the party.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. She's going to need more here. That's interesting.
Yeah, Wasteland. Okay.
That matters.
It actually does too. I mean, there are a number of reasons for this. So the first one obviously is that you're cutting your opponent off just any more mana in play. So the True Name Nemesis actually not going to be able to come into play. But the other utility on Fiery Islet is that it is one of those cycling lands, like one of the canopy lands or whatever. So that like once you deploy your True Name, you could actually convert that resource into something in hand that may be able to better interact with the board or the life total or whatever it might be. So the Wasteland here is a little bit heads up, just in the sense that you can get rid of it now and not have to deal with it later. And they have to draw more lands in order to come back.
This is gonna be tough. She doesn't have an Ancient Tomb, so I don't feel like she's automatically the beatdown side of things. But the True Name is, relatively slow, but it's not going to be stopped by too much. I mean, I suppose Ratchet Bomb if it came in, but it's still gonna take forever.
Yeah, I mean, there is a Blast Zone in play here, which could over time tick all the way up to 3, but that is a manual process, requires a lot of mana, and quite frankly, there's a Wasteland in play too, which is going to handle it very well. So,
and more worrisome is just that she doesn't have an offense right now.
Yeah, I mean, like the True Name Nemesis, you're right. It can get through Reality Smashers and Thought-Knot Seers, but you also have to worry about the crackback. Now, if there are no creatures in play, like power to you, then you just get to attack and not have to worry about these kind of things. So I wonder if mana is clearly the bottleneck here from Catherine's side.
Yeah.
If she's able to pick up a soul land, maybe we can see a Thought-Knot Seer enter play.
Maybe. I think, well, depending on what Kyle draws here, I would like to see the Wasteland pick off the Cavern now.
Yeah.
You're right, Blast Zone can take off True Name eventually, but that's going to take so long, and it's not even going to be able to charge up. Oh, I'm sorry. I got confused there. I thought we'd already passed back from her side and missed our land drop. That is obviously not even close to what happened. So this is much more of a game. And we have this one. Okay, so now we can race this True Name, and actually more likely True Name just can't attack.
Yeah, so the Wasteland's going to be pretty good here. Shutting off you're destroying the Cavern of Souls is going to allow the Daze to interact with creatures. Now, that's kind of interesting. I wonder, what do you think about the Wasteland on the Fiery Islet, just in terms of, well, actually, how do I put this? So because Catherine used the Wasteland on the Fiery Islet, maybe that was kind of a telegraph that she had more mana in her hand and that she wasn't really worried about despite not having anything in play, she wasn't worried about the setback to her mana development because, she's got more lands, and maybe her opponent doesn't have anything to cast her spells with. The way the game's playing out, how do you feel about the Wasteland?
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it at the time, seeing it with the stranding the True Name in hand, and if the city was already in hand and there just wasn't anything to play, which it's certainly a possible outcome. Then I still like it. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm okay with it. It's it's better than hitting a volcanic island, and I don't think you can ever assume you're gonna be able to hit a wasteland. So I think it's fine.
Yeah. Looks like Brainstorm is going to pick up a copy of Delver, Bedlam Reveler, and Force of Negation. So we're going to put 2 cards back here, one of which might be able to flip the Delver. How would you sequence it?
Well, it's dangerous because whichever one you put back, you're not. I guess. All right, let's see. I think you can, if you wasteland a cavern, then you leave the Days in hand and put the Force on top of the deck. I think is what I would do.
Okay.
Because then you're protected from a large creature.
Yeah, this is actually tough.
No, I think I think I stand by what I said, and I think that's exactly what Kyle did. Yeah, he wasteland the cavern, hold the Days, put the Force on top. I think this is the best you can do because the Delver will flip. You can still interact this turn. I like this. I like what he did.
Interesting. And so we're not playing a land yet. Probably going to play it post-combat. Now, what's interesting here is that the Blast Zone actually currently takes care of the... Oh, we didn't play the land. Okay. So that indicates that Kyle wants to draw the Force of Negation, maybe even the Bedlam Reveler too.
Yeah. Still playing the land seems reasonable there. Yeah, the Blast Zone could kill the Delver, but I mean, it'll cost the City of Traders, which is a lot.
Exactly. And so maybe that's kind of like this weird little double bind that Kyle has put Catherine under. Either, she takes damage from the Delver, or she sets her mana back by a lot because City of Traders, is going to die when you put another. So I was considering maybe there was a line where you waste on the Blast Zone to keep the Delver alive, but this seems a lot more cunning and devious where, you let Catherine pick the poison that, eventually takes the game maybe.
That was an extremely unusual attack. She offered Kyle the choice of trading his Delver for the Endless one, and Kyle declined, but it seems very... I don't quite understand why she would even offer.
Okay.
Because Kyle gets his choice, or she gains nothing is the other side of it. And that's what
there's a famous PV, not a famous, but in my eyes, a PV article where it's like talking about not giving your opponent options. So this is a scenario where Kyle gets to decide the outcome based on Catherine's action, which I can understand why Catherine, maybe in her mind, she wants to use the Blast Zone to take care of the True Name because there are very few answers to True Name in the deck. And so the Endless one can maybe she wants the Endless one to trade with the Delver. It's better for her. That way she can preserve her life total. But if the Delver is actually better for Kyle to have, there's no way he would, ever take the trade there, right? And if it is better for him to trade, then he would take the trade. So basically, the only outcome that would happen from this situation is whatever is best for Kyle. Right. So that would be the reason not to attack. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're giving your opponent a choice, but you're gaining something in the exchange from Catherine's side, that's fine. But she gains nothing. She does no damage either way. It's just a matter of whether they trade or not. So I really don't like it because then, I mean, she can't block anyway, I suppose, unless the Delver doesn't flip. And so maybe she didn't give up much. I'll give her that. She probably didn't lose much either, but I don't see the reason to offer the trade.
Yeah. But so this is going to be a critical turn where we see whether Catherine has another land drop to maybe charge up the Blast Zone one more turn. She has gone through a decent amount. And yes, Eldrazi Temple is there.
But what are we even... Yeah, so we can put a counter on it. We're still getting kind of beat up here in the meantime. Kyle probably counting his spells in the graveyard right now. So we'll see him look at his graveyard, deciding whether he wants to draw the Bedlam Reveler.
Yeah, and it looks like right now the Bedlam Reveler is uncastable. 1, 2, 3 instants in the graveyard, and it's 6 red and a red, so you're going to need a little bit more fuel in the tank to get it into play. It is a very powerful threat in this matchup. It is a 3/4 with prowess. So, as far as the beefier threats go in this deck, that is the one that you want. So that's why there's the serious consideration as to whether we want to keep it or not. I like shuffling this away. It means that you get maybe a top deck that is actually relevant to the board state as it is now and not what it could be. So this solid play here.
I like shuffling also, but I wish we would have also shuffled away the Force of Negation, as I don't feel like that's retaining a lot of value at this point. And so if we played the fetch down last turn, we could have flipped Delver and then fetched before drawing.
Yeah.
Because we still have the days for a large creature, and then what are we forcing here? It's kind of too late for Chalice to matter. I mean, I suppose you'd still counter it if it came down.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Jitte would still matter.
I was exactly thinking about that.
So maybe that's a reason. Although True Name still negates the Jitte, but yeah, okay, that is a relevant card that still matters for us. So, okay, maybe I'll take that. Maybe I'll tone it down a little bit. Holding the Force is probably okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I feel like one of the hardest things about Delver, just in general playing, is understanding like your option selection and then like how you leverage what's in your hand and in your deck against the threats that your opponent is playing, right? Like lining up maybe like a Spell Snare versus a Baleful Strix or like the red Elemental Blast versus a Baleful Strix. You see those kind of choices actually make a big difference at the end of the day. And so maybe Kyle is saying in this situation, we've got the True Name in play. There are very few things that actually matter here. So I'm going to hold the Force of Negation to handle those very few things. Umezawa's Jitte is one that he's maybe considering as...
If she has a land here and blows up the Blast Zone, she's ahead in clock and Kyle has nothing.
Oh my goodness. And so maybe this game that looks so solidly in Kyle's favor is suddenly going to, just turn around here. And now Kyle's getting punished because, well, he chose to wasteland the Cavern of Souls instead of the Blast Zone. He chose to keep the Force of Negation. And so this is kind of what I'm alluding to is like you create this house of cards with Delver and the opponent is just trying to find ways to poke holes into it.
Yeah, and the True Name didn't attack the last turn, so it could have gotten through another hit, which would have changed the clock, and it doesn't get the block anyway because of the Cavern. Because of the Blast Zone. This has been a pretty entertaining game. This is a drawing Force of Will. This card does not matter right now. And
yeah, what cards do matter actually?
Well, let's see. Can a Bolt change the clock? No. So a creature that can block.
So maybe like another True Name Nemesis, that would probably be ideal.
Yeah, a creature that can block. I haven't come up with anything else yet. So not attacking the tree. I mean, it forced her to have a land, but she needed the land anyway.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we draw something like Dreadhorde Arcanist this turn, is that like would you block with it, or would you try to take the Brainstorm maybe, or even like a Lightning Bolt? It's hard to say.
You're going to be at 4.
Oh yeah.
You don't have a choice.
If you drew it instead of the Force of Will, my bad.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we drew Dreadhorde instead of Force of Will, would you block? That's not easy.
And Cavern of Souls here is just with the rub-ins. This is the second time I'm saying it, but it's turning off the forces very, very well for any potential Thought-Knot Seers. And
okay, so Kyle was prepared to concede there to something, but that wasn't it. Reshaper comes down, which doesn't actually change anything dramatically.
Oh, it's True Name Nemesis. Is that as good as I tried to make it sound?
Yeah, it is. Okay, so because it's a Reshaper, this Delver can still attack this turn if it wants to, and then we're dead to a Reality Smasher, but we're already dead to a Reality Smasher, so I think we should have attacked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that would make Lightning Bolt a solid draw as well, right?
Because if we Delver attacks now, we get attacked back, block Endless One, go to 1, attack.
Oh, and then we just attack with the True Name too, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we needed to attack there with Delver. Because if Reality Smasher kills us regardless, which I think it has to, right? Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I'll leave the combat math to the experts.
Yeah, Reality Smasher would kill us anyway. So I think we missed it. So I think you could argue that Kyle's missed 2 attacks this game, and that Catherine maybe should be at 2 right now. But this is where we're at, and comes in.
Magic is a complicated game. Yeah. I don't fault anyone.
Yeah, this would have been an interesting turn to draw Jitte, because this time it had to have been forced, which would have. Well, never mind. Why are we okay? Oh, all right. I don't know that I agree with blocking the Reshaper and giving the trigger here.
Yeah, it could be. How much Ayavukin can't leverage Eldrazi Temple to generate whatever. It doesn't work that way. Right? I think it's only.
I believe it does.
Okay.
Okay, so Reshaper is going to trigger we're going to find a Spirit Guide, which is worth actual 0.
Can't cast it yet, but maybe a Cavern and Souls on, what is it, Ape? Creature type Ape?
So. Okay, so now we can't... so we're still at a stalemate. Kyle can't attack.
Yeah, this is tricky. So I guess now that one true name is gone, the second true name is in play. If you are in Kyle's seat, that's...
Okay, so I misspoke saying the Spirit Guide was worth nothing because it actually just goes into play. I forgot that it wasn't going to go in hand where it would be uncastable. So
you're right. Yeah.
Okay, so Thought Knot from hand can take, all 3 of those cards do nothing, so that doesn't matter. And then Kyle's now dead on the board. And even if you draw, like if another true name was drawn, it doesn't solve the problem.
This is going to be one of those legendary top deck brainstorm at a double bolt moments. I'm telling you right now. You feel the energy, Joe?
That would be something.
Kyle definitely does it. Hovering over. Oh,
okay.
Halfway there.
So that's going to end this game. That was an excellent game. It was entertaining to watch. I feel like both players at this point have cause to have some regrets if they go back and watch the replays of this match. Or actually, there's a decent chance they're feeling them right now. But,
yeah, I mean, we're deep in the tournament already. This is the 6th round, so maybe you get like the first inkling of fatigue, checking in, and
you may also get jitters. You're playing for top 8. Maybe that's adds some nerves. And also, I mean, we say these things to excuse errors, but it's not like elite players don't make mistakes also.
Oh, so, yeah. I've made a number of mistakes, and you know what? It happens to the best of us. So
I've seen a few of them. I saw you're disqualified from the top 8 of a Grand Prix. I mean,
bye.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And, all of us are made billions of errors while playing, and we made some there, but that doesn't mean the players aren't still in this and still rocking for Game 3 and hopefully for top 8 berth.
Yep. Speaking of top 8, what are we playing for? What are the players playing for today?
Well, I don't know the breakdowns, but I know that.
Yeah, sorry, Joe will be right back with us, but I feel like if I vaguely recall, it was maybe like upwards of $200 in store credit for NRG store credit for first place, and then 150 for second place, and then 75 for third and fourth place.
Okay, so apparently there's some kind of technical thing. Okay, we're going to go to commercial for 2 minutes and straighten this out. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. It's not clear to me what the error even was, but something happened. Maybe you watching at home were aware of it, but apparently it's been fixed, so that's great. And we've got Game 3 coming up between Blue Red Delver and Aggro Eldrazi, and we're going to be again watching from the Delver perspective. And this hand has significant need of a second land, but that's not a reason necessarily to mulligan.
Yeah, so we are on a mull to 6 already, which means I don't even want to mulligan now. We are... I mean, if you're in Kyle's position, what are you thinking about?
I mean, if this is my 6, I'm keeping for sure. I'm dumping an Arcanist. I'm confident that between a Ponder and a Brainstorm, I'll find another land, and then I have a decent hand. Like, I don't have a big threat, but I have enough to satisfy me on 6 cards for sure.
Yeah, and Red Horde Arcanist is the kind of card that has definitely taken over a number of games by itself. So I would not be surprised, if it's able to do some good stuff here. Now, obviously, the 1/3 body not so good in the face of Thought Knots and 3/3s and things like that, but there's still a chance that it can take over the game, buy it back, a couple cantrips, and go from there.
I take it back. I said I put back an Arcanist. I might put back a Price of Progress.
Okay, yeah, that's another good one too.
Because if the first one got picked off by a I can't remember the name of the card. The split card, the Eldrazi split card that was in the sideboard that can exile a 1 power toughness creature.
Warping Whale, yep.
Right. If one of them got picked off by Warping Whale, I'd really want to have the second one.
Okay, that's a good call. And the price of progress is like something that you have to like invest into. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to be that great on in the first few turns. It's more of a late game finisher. So
Like this is like that's when you have a clock established, and this hand does not. This hand is going to be playing out a longer game, trying to accrue advantage. Okay, so Arcanist goes down. That was my first choice. I kind of reconsidered, but that's fine. And we're going. And Catherine kept 7. We're coming off here, and we need a land. That's very nice.
it's very good. Brazen Bar, one of the few answers that cleanly gets removes a big beefy creature from the battlefield. So definitely interested in keeping this. Looks like Kyle's going to draw the island here, then the Brazen Bar, then the Wasteland.
Yeah, this is excellent. He has to be very happy with that. Because there's certainly fear there that the Ponder whiffs, and then you draw, and then you have to brainstorm on turn 2. You can't play the Arcanist even if you find the land, and then you just fall way behind.
Yeah.
Now,
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly what you're about to say, which is, what do you think Catherine has right now? What are the things that you are afraid of with this hand? And the first thing that comes to my mind is, what is that card called? It's like Schmalice of the Schmoid or something.
It's something like that. I think you bungled the pronunciation a little bit, but yeah, a Chalice of the Void, which it would be pretty deadly. Looks like we have just a Temple. Are we passing? Okay.
Okay.
So
that's not too bad.
No, if we kept 7 and our lead is Temple Pass, I have to imagine our Thought Seers coming down on turn 2.
Okay. That's a really good pickup, right? Because we don't have like the early interaction in Chalice, so then maybe it must be something much scarier here. So maybe this is what's prompting the brainstorm. We know there's a Wasteland on top.
I'm going to go a little bit further and say that I think the Wasteland should have been above the Brazen Borrower.
Okay.
Because I would have. Well, I guess we can cast it anyway here. We can still Wasteland this turn, but I think we will. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm totally on board with this. Now it's fine because I forgot we had another cantrip. I like the Wasteland quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true. The Chalice of the Void secretly doesn't matter as much because we have the Brazen Borrower now that I think about it. So we do get like a turn of reprieve where we could, bounce the Chalice with the Brazen Borrower, buy back a cantrip or a bolt or something with the Dreadhorde Arcanist. So secretly, like maybe now that I think about it more, drawing the Wasteland there, very powerful as well, because it would just put the Dreadhorde Arcanist into play. But this really heads up of you, Joe, to think about the turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer, which is probably what incentivized Kyle to actually Wasteland the Eldrazi Temple.
Yeah, thank you. And another part, yeah, like playing like you were saying, you play the Arcanist first, then if there was a Chalice, you play Arcanist, then you can play the Borrower the next turn, bounce a Chalice, and then get your spell in. After that brainstorm, is there another land coming for Kyle?
Got bad news knocking on the door, Joe. I don't think there was.
I don't think there is either. And there's a Wasteland for her, which is going to mean there's no play. Yeah, it's an Abrade, I think. But whatever it is, if it's not a land, he's going to be passing with no action.
Yeah, so Kyle's going to have to find mana to cast his spells like ASAP. Otherwise, this might just be one of those non-magic kind of games.
I mean, we've already played some Magic. There's been some interplay here. This is not a soul on the board. If we're correct on the Thought-Knot Seer, which I think is likely, that's obviously not coming down this turn. So if she has nothing to play, maybe he has a few turns here.
Okay. Cavern of Souls is the land drop for the turn, likely naming Eldrazi. And let's see if there's a 2-mana spell that's going to come down now.
I don't think there is. I'm surprised.
Okay.
Oh, 3-mana spell. Okay, all right. That makes sense. I didn't think there'd be a 2-mana spell, but Spirit Guide makes sense. All right, and uncounterable. And do we have a land? We don't.
Now that's.
We've had a number of dazes drawn today in completely useless situations. Not that the card isn't great, but it has not looked good today on camera.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm kind of happy to see that, not because I have some sort of irrational hatred for the card Daze, Cricket's chirping, but mostly because this is what I'm talking about when I say that Legacy is the kind of format that, it is reasonably balanced right now. We've seen a lot of decks do really well lately, and this is a perfect example of how like the format fights against itself to keep things in check. Mm-hmm. This is a Thought-Knot Seer coming down exactly as you had seen. So, I mean, if you're Catherine, you must be excited, right?
So what is she going to take here?
Good question. I feel like it might be between the lightning bolt or the abrade.
Wait, I'm she's got to be happy either way. Like this is not, even if Kyle draws a land, like this is not a strong set of cards.
Ooh, but she took the price of progress. Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's worth 6 damage right now. That's something that she probably could afford, but all right.
Yeah, we saw the Ancient Tombs doing a bunch of damage in the last game, so maybe her agenda is like to leverage this Ancient Tomb a number of times and just make bigger plays here, because you do have to get one more mana into play to cast things like Reality Smasher.
Ooh, and a lot more mana cast Bedlam Reveler. This is going to put Kyle down to 9, and he's going to be very close. If we get to the point where a land draw allows the regular Arcanist that has to chump block, then there's no coming back from that. And we're basically there. If she has anything, then we're there.
Okay. Just say it with me, Joe.
Yeah.
One time. Top deck, Terminus, let's go.
I thought we were going to say, like, congratulations, Catherine, on top 8 or something. I wasn't sure what you were leading into there.
Oh, yeah. I was just, you got to appeal to the crowd. 1 Miracle Expert and Anuraag. You gotta play to your outs. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Yeah, that would be boy. I'll tell you what, a surprise miracle. I played against Rug Delver in that league I played in this week.
Yeah,
and they played Temporal Mastery. I could not believe it.
I think I know the exact opponent you played against, because one person had the audacity to do that against me, and I was just wall to the floor, taken aback in shock. So.
I was so, there's a Delver. I'm sorry, there's a Ballista. Which is bad news for Delver. Bad news for Kyle. Good news for Catherine, who, if tiebreakers hold up, because I believe 3-2, but tiebreakers hold up, and we expect this to be winning in, she will find herself in top 8, because I do not think Kyle can beat this even with a land.
Yeah, and I mean, Ratchet Bomb is just insult to injury here. That's going to seal it in.
Okay, so yeah, Ratchet Bomb could hold up and kill a Delver, which isn't going to matter anyway. Ratchet Bomb, I mean, perhaps it'll be a devastating misclick and she'll blow it up for 0 and kill the Ballista, and Kyle would still be screwed.
Yeah, and Delver of Secret's not the draw that Kyle needed to get back into this, so it looks like the GGs are in the chat. The concession is in. Congratulations, Catherine. You are now... I think live for top 8, right? This is like you're mentioning the win and in. So
I think she's in.
We'll see how the breakers.
Yeah, that was a cool match. There was definitely in all 3 games there were decisions the players had to make. Game 3 they involved the use of lands, wastelands or not, and such. But yeah, that was really neat. Anuraag, this is the end of your 3 rounds for being here. Thank you. I hope you had a good time. Did you enjoy yourself?
I had a blast, and I would love to return for any future Legacy commentary. We saw some pretty exciting matches. We saw lands versus Dark Depths. We saw this just now, Eldrazi versus Blue-Red Delver. And then I think we also saw Nyx Fit versus Hogak, right? Those were the 3 matches, and they were pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I imagine the top 8 bracket will be coming out soon, but I will be celebrating my wife's birthday today, so I'm going to be dipping out. But if you want to catch me again, feel free to at twitch.tv/UnzitMTG. I'll be streaming every day for God knows how long. But on that note, I got nothing else. Thank you, NRG, and thank you, Joe, for running the show.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Okay, for viewers at home, we're going to take a break right now, and then we'll be back with the top 8 with Mike Hadley joining me.